What's up, my friends? My name is Keilan Morrissey. You're watching Keeping It Keilan. And today we're going to be talking about Kindle Vella, Amazon's new short story platform. So, I am a writer and I am a reader, and Kindle Vella is exciting to me for both of those reasons. So whether you are a writer, a reader, or both, I would like to explain why I think this new platform is something you should be super excited about. So from a reader's perspective, let's start there. You basically get free stories. You get unlimited free stories. Now, that doesn't mean that every story on the app is free, though. The way that Kindle Vella works is it's all about serialized short stories. So everything you find will have parts. It'll have what they call episodes. So the first 3 episodes of every story is free. No writer has the power to change that. You get the first 3 episodes of their story for free. Each episode is, I believe, between 500 and 6,000 words. So it could be on the shorter side, could be on the longer side, but basically it's about a chapter length. So you get the first 3 episodes of any story for free. So you can sample as many stories as you want. So you could find all different sorts of genres, all different sorts of creators. You can read their stories and see if you want to continue it. And if you do want to continue it, then that's where you do have to spend money. But you're never spending money directly on one person's story. You actually spend money on tokens. Tokens are the in-app currency. If you buy a bundle of tokens for a pretty affordable price, then you get to spend those tokens on whichever stories you want. And depending on the word count, that's how much or how many tokens a particular episode will cost. So for instance, I am putting my own story, Abandoned Destinies, on to Kindle Vella. I already have 3 episodes done, working on the 4th. If you read the first 3, and you're like, okay, this is pretty cool, I like this story, hopefully you do, then you can see, okay, well, this next episode 4, costs 20 tokens. Do you want to spend 20 of your 200 tokens on that story? Hopefully so. And if you do, then I get 50% of what you paid for the tokens. So basically, Amazon takes 50% of the money you spend on tokens. The other 50% is allocated to whichever writers you choose to buy stories from. So it is a really, really cool direct way to support writers. They literally get money for each chapter, each episode of their story that you read. And it doesn't really feel, at least I don't think it will feel, like you are just spending money on short stories, because I know that's a hard thing to do. There's infinite short stories on the internet, right? Like it's kind of this thing. You're used to buying books, you're used to buying a physical book, and you may even buy ebooks, but just buying a short story seems weird. But you're not just buying a short story. When you spend your money, you're actually making a transaction that allows you to read from a bunch of different stories. You know, with my story, let's say you get bored by episode 6, hopefully not. But if you do, you can then take the money you might have spent on the next few episodes and go, invest in a different writer whose story seems interesting to you. But yeah, hopefully you like my story. So that's what's cool about Kindle Vella is you get to explore all these different stories, and they're all by self-published authors. And the way that these authors grow, the way that they get more recognition and can build a name for themselves in the app is by being favorited. So you get faves each week. As a reader, you get a fave, which you can apply to your favorite story that you're reading that week. And so there's infinite opportunity for growth. There's no New York Times bestseller list. This is switching to the writer's perspective here. There's no bestseller list. There's no critical thing saying, okay, these are the best books of the week, these are the best stories. No, it's actually based on what readers are reading the most. So if you have a good story and people are reading it and they give it their little favorite sticker, then you have a higher chance of more people reading it. So it incentivizes writers to just make good stories. You don't have to appeal to anyone in particular. Just write for your reader, write for your audience, and write for yourself. So that it's super cool and liberating, in my opinion, because it's a way that your readers, your fans can directly support you, and you can just tell really cool stories, and you can sell all kinds of stories. You also don't have to wait the time it might take to finish a novel, say a couple of years. You can actually just release it episode by episode. And depending on what kind of writer you are, maybe you're not the kind who has a set vision. Maybe you want the responses from your readers to influence the story, right? Kind of like a sitcom. Like there's definitely the reactions from the public influences a lot, right? If they're liking the jokes, they keep the jokes. If they don't like the jokes, they change them. Like maybe you want that direct reader to writer relationship, or maybe you don't. Maybe you just want to drop your story once a month, once a week, and just let it be out there. See who reads it. But it's a really cool way to monetize your stories, to monetize short stories, which previously there was never a very mainstream platform where you could monetize short stories. So I think this is super, super cool. And it's been motivating me to write a lot more. And I'm really excited to launch my own series. And this video is not just an ad for my series, but I do hope you like it. Abandoned Destinies, which is based on a comic I did with my girlfriend 4 years back. I'm now reinventing it as a Kindle Vella serialized story. So in a way, it's like a social media platform because readers actually can follow a writer. They can follow a particular story, right? If you follow or subscribe, whatever they call it, to my story, Abandoned Destinies, you'll be notified when new episodes are released. And speaking of the reader to writer relationship, there's a specific place at the end of each story for authors to leave an author's note of up to 200 words, which is really cool. You can literally let the reader know what was going through your head when you were writing that, or maybe give them a little tease of what's coming in the next chapter. Like tell them, hey, you might want to buy that next story because somebody's going to die in that episode. Like you can do whatever you want with the author's note, but it's a really cool way to interact directly with readers. And again, the only people who are going to see it are the people who pay for it. So there's this sort of feeling of exclusivity, like you get to be a part of this story by investing in it, by paying tokens to read it. And so it's super exciting to me to think about the readership I could build on there. I'm really hoping that being an early adopter of Kindle Vella and really putting a lot of stories on there will help me grow an audience. That's my dream. But it's also cool as a reader. Like I'm looking forward to supporting other writers on there. I'm looking forward to finding some of my favorite self-published writers and see what they're up to and support them, because it's a really direct and affordable way to support them. So now let's get into the pros and cons of novels and Kindle Vella. Which do you want to do as a writer? So I've had this story idea, this novel idea for a while, Skyburn, and I actually just in the past few months, I storyboarded out this whole thing. And when Kindle Vella came around, I was like, I wonder if I should transition this to Kindle Vella. So here's my little breakdown of novel versus Kindle Vella and what I ultimately decided. So for novel, a pro is that I have always wanted to publish a fiction novel. That's always been a dream. I think it's a lot of people's dreams is to actually have a novel out there with your picture on the back cover and to be able to physically hold it, right? A con of a novel is that self-published books on Amazon, because it's such a huge, highly saturated market, they have a lot of trouble gaining traction. My poetry book has had trouble gaining traction. It's hard to get it out there to random customers. Even if you use like Amazon ads, it's really hard to get your book out there to just anybody, because there are hundreds of thousands of self-published books on Amazon. Another thing is that the book can be completely customized to your liking if you do it through Amazon. So you actually are uploading a PDF, which you can customize with your illustrations, your font choice, your spacing choice, your color choice. You can do whatever you want. You can make the text go in a circle. There's complete customization if you're publishing in a novel format. You can do whatever you want. So another con of a novel is the story has to be completely written before you publish it. Kind of obvious about a novel, but it's true. You have to have the full story polished and done, and once it's printed, it's done. That's it. You make a mistake, you want to go back and change something, you can't really. You can make new editions of the book, but you can't change the novels that were already done and printed and published. So a pro is that, a novel could be, say, 50,000 words or more, and you can charge any price you want. That's cool. You can charge any price you want for a novel. Of course, a recommended price is $8.99. So your royalty that you would earn from that through Amazon would be $2.56. So we'll compare that to Kindle Vella in a moment. And so one last con of a novel is that the only way to make money from it is one way: if somebody purchases the book. There's no other way to make money off that novel besides people buying the book. So it is a bit limiting, but if you got a good book, maybe you can do it. Now for Kindle Vella. A pro is that being an early adopter could give you a high chance of success. I think I already went over that one. A con is that since the service is yet to launch, it could end up being completely unsuccessful. I have heard that Amazon has actually done something similar to this 3 times in the past, and none of those have lasted. But the hope is that this one will learn from the mistakes of the past three. And, since they're so confident in this one, hopefully this is the time where they really get a cool short story platform that's long lasting. A pro is that it can be told in a unique format. This is something totally new. It's something you can explain to people, and they might be interested just by the format, even if they don't care for the story. They're like, okay, you just read one episode at a time. I'll check that out. And you get to have that direct connection to your readers. Now, one con is that you do not get customization of the layout of the story. So you're rather limited with the layout because there's no images allowed. You don't get to decide, the fonts. You don't get to decide the spacing. You don't get to decide any of that. Kindle Vella automatically removes all indentations. So really you get to decide where to break for a paragraph, of course, basic stuff, of course, that's part of the story and the pacing, but you do not get to decide how it looks. So if you're really picky about that, then maybe it's not for you. So another con, I ran the math, and if you have a story that's, say, 50,000 words, you would earn $2.40 from a single reader who reads your whole story. So compare that to the $2.56 you would earn from charging $8.99, the standard price for a 50,000 word novel. You actually would be making less on Kindle Vella, but the hope is that for every reader that reads the whole story, and you get your $2.40, there's also a reader who just reads a few stories, and that makes up that extra 16 cents, maybe even more. Maybe you have dozens of readers that just read a few random episodes, and then you have your main core readers that read every single episode. So that's what's cool. And plus, you keep adding, right? You keep adding. If you have 50,000 words, you add another 5,000 word story, and then another episode, and another. And so if people are invested, if you have them hooked, you can keep making money. You can keep getting their support because you can keep putting out episodes as long as you still are enjoying and loving that story. You can keep making more, and if people love it, they'll stay with you. And the final pro that I wrote here is you can profit from people reading just a portion of the full story. So, my friends, that is the pros and cons of Kindle Vella. So ultimately, I decided on keeping my story in novel format because that's sort of how I always envisioned Skyburn. I always wanted it to be a novel, and I really just want to have that physical book in my hand. But the thing is, I actually had some other stories that I thought would be great for Kindle Vella. If you have one main idea, then this might be worth pursuing because you have this opportunity to put something on here, be one of the first writers to put something on Kindle Vella. You could maybe gain a readership, and it could be really cool, I think. In worst case scenario, if the platform flops and you don't want to continue putting your stories on there, you can remove them, you can unpublish them. You cannot leave them on Kindle Vella and publish them elsewhere. It's exclusive. You have to, if you put a story on Kindle Vella, it has to be a Kindle Vella exclusive. But I mean, small price to pay if you just want to try it. And if it doesn't work, like I said, just unpublish, put it in a novel, do what you want to do. But it's a really cool thing to test out, and I'm really excited to see where Kindle Vella goes. Fingers crossed that it becomes the next big thing, and I can gain a readership of people who enjoy my short stories on there. All right, well, thank you all so much for watching, readers and writers. I appreciate you tuning in to Keeping It Keilan. This has been Keilan Morrissey. I hope I see you on Kindle Vella, and I'll see you in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe for more content like this about creative storytelling, as well as pop culture videos, mental health videos, adventure videos, fan films, feature films, short films, you name it. All right here on Keilan Morrissey's channel. Peace out, guys.